alien invasions that are going to come and, quote unquote, get us, or do some kind of a harm to us. And so we're on alert for something to come and do us bad deeds, so to speak.
Well, this is the thing that when I was learning as a kid for what I'm doing right now, the first thing they emphasize is the fact that we have to understand that what is happening to us is we are moving from being planetary beings to being galactic beings. Mm-hmm. And when we realize that, we suddenly realize that we are part of a vast, incredible network of galactic beings that are benevolent, that are here to help us, and that have always been watching us and in one way or another helping us move forward. Mm-hmm. So then you suddenly get into the concept of positive, and then you begin to see the relationship between them, being the extraterrestrials, and ourselves. Mm-hmm. And you see that it's mostly been a positive one. There have been some negative things which are involved with a whole bunch of stuff that deals with former dark civilizations that had secret deals with our government. But that we shouldn't dwell on. To me, dwelling on that, you get into the whole fear thing, and then you lose what the real center, the real core of this is all about, which is that there is a benevolent civilization, the Galactic Federation, composed of over 200,000 members who are spreading light throughout this galaxy, and that they have come here as a group to act simply as one thing, our mentors in one way or another. It has to be indirect until now. Now there can be more direct because we are reaching a technological level where their intervention will be part of a whole process of shifting not only our civilization but ourselves into what we're really meant to be.
There are other implications to this. One that comes to me is even this whole concept of global warming. We're very concerned about that. We're concerned about the oceans rising and engulfing our coastal cities. We're obviously concerned about the health of our planet, of our seas, and there are ways to address all of it. We've got energy issues right now, as we're talking about, and at some point in time, the pressures of the way we've been doing things and the assumptions that we've been making in terms of going about our individual and collective lives is going to come to a head where some knowledge or understanding beyond what we presently are demonstrating, we might be calling for it or wishing we had. Now, I don't know if this is the way the drama will play out, but it seems to me the concept of a benign mentor. I mean, heck, God is a benign mentor as far as I'm concerned. So it all works with me. How does the Federation see themselves working themselves into? Is it where we are opening up to them, or asking, or calling for them, or what do you think?
What has been happening over the last 40 years, and especially in the last 20, is a gradual increase in our conscious awareness of our civilization, of where we sit in the galaxy, of where we sit in the solar system, and where we sit as mentors of our planet. Mm-hmm. And this whole process is part of this growth that we need to have before contact. Contact is about a relatively somewhat conscious group on this planet understanding who they are, meaning the extraterrestrials, and who we are, meaning ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so what has been happening is we are going through a whole process of understanding ourselves, and this has been exploding forward because we now realize global warming is a wonderful tool because what it is doing, it is racing us forward in the whole process of understanding that A, this is a living planet, and two, our job here is to be its mentors. And we're as stewards, we don't do stupid things to make it worse. It's like having a dog and constantly poking and sticking the dog till the dog is so bruised he can hardly walk around.
Is there a time frame or is there a set of conditions? You mentioned the fact that enough are awakened. I'm getting the feeling that this doesn't mean that the entire 6 billion people have to be awakened.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It just means a big enough core of people who are dedicated to manifesting contact appear. And we are very close to all of that right now. We could have contact even tomorrow if we wanted to, and if they agreed with it, if it was part of the divine plan. What we have to understand is there is a divine plan unraveling here, and it's accelerating the process of change. And that makes everything very, very close. That's why more and more people are quote unquote awakening. That means they're becoming more aware of searching for what they really are, going beyond the labels of what they look at with themselves as a religion or a nationality or a race or whatever, and beginning to see themselves as being human beings whose process is to understand what they really are and where they're going, and are seeing and feeling and daily experiencing changes within themselves and want to find out what that all means. And when they hear stuff about UFOs, which to me are IFOs anyways, because to me they're out there, they're real, they're identified. So the process for us is to understand that this is what's happening. We are moving to becoming more and more into a collective of consciousness growing, and at the same time, they're becoming more and more able to show themselves to us. That's why every year, by massive exponential rates, the amount of sightings of things happen. Matter of fact, in Phoenix just a few days ago, they had what they're calling Phoenix Lights 2, where...
Really?
Yeah, yes.
Now, well, here we are. I'm in California, and they're having lights when I left. Come on now. I got to talk to them. All right. That's okay. That is, that's news. Oh, okay. I was chuckling too when you mentioned the IFOs. I mean, because we've gotten so used to that concept of unidentified flying objects. And I said, gee, if you're looking at it, then you did identify it, didn't it?
Right.
It is an IFO. You may not know where it's from, but it's certainly been identified.
Right. It's been identified, just like they did in Phoenix a few days ago. They had the Air Force bases around there say there was not anything that they did, and having Sky Harbor say no, it wasn't any scheduled airliner. So,
wow. Well, that's amazing. So the changes that are afoot. Let's talk about physiological changes. I mean, I have been, in this show, we've covered so many ways that people can begin to change their physiology, the physical nature, talking about reducing toxicity, allowing the body to heal itself. But that certainly plays into this in a favorable way into this whole process in terms of the ability for the body to handle these new energies that are coming through. But what other kind of changes? We talked about the DNA. What else do you see?
Well, what's happening is our chakras are changing. There's the traditional, if you study the subject, they'll talk about the 7 chakras that are originally oriented from the traditional work of Indian civilization. Indian meaning the big Indian and not the misnomered North American Indians or Native Americans. So if you look at the 7 chakra system, it's actually being expanded. The heart system is changing into 2. The diaphragm system is growing, which didn't exist before. The solar plexus is still there. The bottom 2 ones are there. But the difference also is in the head. Because what is happening is a fully conscious being has to be able at all times to communicate between the spiritual and the physical. So what happens is they have what we might call a scalar antenna being developed. And so this includes the well of dreams, which is now inactive, which is at the back of the head. And then there's the two systems, the pineal glands, and then the I always forget names. But anyway, these 2 glands that are right in the head. They're the pineal gland is the most light sensitive.
The thymus. The pineal, but the pineal, but
I always forget it. I hate doing this in a program, but I didn't. I usually. No, it's not. I'll get it in 5 seconds here. Just look at the head one. Bang. It's the pituitary system.
Pituitary, okay.
Which is the master gland of the endocrine system. See, what's happening is the pineal and the pituitary come together because the pituitary represents the major hormones of the body through the endocrine system. And then what happens is the light comes in, the energy through the pineal, and you have an antenna created because there's also 2 things up and above the head. On the right side is the universal male, and on the left side is the universal female. And these come together because then the male and female parts of your spiritual energies are coming together. And so they come here into the head, and they go through like a vortex energy, and they